Hi everyone, welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Derling. On this episode, it's a special one. It's always great when one of my favorite bands releases new music, get the chance to dig into that and hear what they're doing. And in this case, it's a little bit different because I've already heard the music, but I'm just now getting the actual physical product. So that's why I've been waiting to film. It's the band that gives this show its name, Kansas. That's why I called it Vinyl Confessions, and they're the subject of the very first episode. It's no secret, anybody that's watched the show knows I'm a huge Kansas fan. I find that in the classic rock bands, they are a little bit underappreciated. They're known, but they're not as well known as they should be. But anyway, so in 2016, the revamped lineup of Kansas put out a fine album called The Prelude Implicit, and I dedicated an episode to that. And that lineup is more or less intact. I think there's a couple lineup changes, but they're back with a brand new album called An Absence of Presence, which I pre-ordered almost as soon as I found out that you could. And in this case, by doing that, as most of you know, you get the download free. So I've had the download for a couple of weeks now, and so I've listened to the album several times, and I love it, but I'm very, very old school in that it doesn't feel like I actually own it, only having the download. I need the physical thing, and I want the artwork too. So now, package came in the mail. I'm going to open it up. It came from Color Test, which is the company that they use. Shipping department, Kansas Band, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Yeah, this was announced, and I thought, this is good. And this, when bands are putting back their release plans, these guys went right ahead with new music. So, happy about that. Let's open this up. Kansas have always had really, really cool artwork. This is kind of no exception. Black vinyl for An Absence of Presence. There's the classic Kansas logo in there. And this time around it's on Inside Out and they're distributed by Sony. So after a long, long, long wait, they're bouncing around from indie label to indie label, they're back on really their original label, Sony, CBS, whatever you want to call it. So this is the record itself. Because they did push back the release date by a couple of weeks, they said everybody who had already pre-ordered gets a limited edition lithograph. So here's that. That'll look good on my wall. So almost a record-sized, but not quite. And also guitar picks. So there's the part of the figure that's on the cover, Kansas logo. And here's the CD itself, I'm happy to report, in a good old-fashioned jewel case. Man, this is cool. So this album basically picks up where the Prelude Implicit left off. It's fresh sounding. It does sound like Kansas. It's got those classic elements. Of course, it's got David Ragsdale's violin. I know he's not the original violinist, of course. It's Robbie Steinhardt, but he's been with the band since the early 90s and really understands that aspect of their sound. And the way that plays against the guitars, and it's just Phil Ehart on the drums, always an overlooked drummer. His touch is there, wouldn't be the same without him. He and guitarist Richard Williams are the only members that have been with the band on every single one of their recordings. And on this album, they are joined by a new member. Their previous keyboard player, David Mannion, left, and he's been replaced by Tom Brislin. Now, Tom Brislin has some serious musical cred and some serious prog cred because he spent some time with Yes when they did their symphonic tour for the Magnification album, which is the one they recorded with an orchestra and no keyboard player. He was their keyboard player when Rick Wakeman didn't accept the invite to do the tour. So he figures in prominently on this album. He's written the lyrics to almost all the songs and contributed to all of the music, and even does lead vocals on one song. So that's why they've got him front and center at the front of the booklet, which is interesting, like a new member coming in and not taking over, but being given so much free reign over things. This is the second album that Ronnie Platt sings on. Doing a great job, and Man, I wish I could catch this lineup in concert. This is like a supercharged Kansas lineup, and they've been on a roll for the last 5 years. But, and of course, I'm talking pre-quarantine times. They've avoided my area for some reason, or haven't come that close. So that's what the inner booklet looks like. I was wondering, because the final song on the album called The Song the River Sang, quite obviously when I was listening to it, just the downloads, I said, well, that's not Ronnie. And it's Tom Brislin singing the lead vocal. So that makes me wonder, and I know bass player Billy Greer takes some of the vocals, but I wonder if they're going to have Tom sing more of the stuff that, the dual vocals that Steve Walsh used to do with Robbie Steinhardt. That's a possibility. This is what the CD itself looks like. Just so great in the artwork, and it's produced by Zach Rizvi. I always get his name wrong there. One of their newer members on guitar. And the guitar picks that came with this are interesting. So there's one with the classic Kansas logo on it, and the title of the album, The Absence of Presence. And this one, where you've got the figure from the album, and the K from the Kansas logo. Does that mean that there are the rest of the letters floating around out there? Let me know. If anybody else got this album, pre-ordered it from the band, and got these guitar picks, let me know. You have A's, N's, and S's. They really need, they only need an A, N, and an S. They can, and unless the backs are different. Taking a little cue from Kiss on this one, collect them all. But man, I knew that I wouldn't be disappointed, but I've listened to it several times now, and it's just Kansas doing what they do. And, they've never done it better. Am I saying it's my favorite? No. I'm just saying it maintains that high Kansas standard. So, In Absence of Presence, latest album from Kansas. Highly check it out, kansasband.com. They're on social media. They're very active there. Check it out. If you've never really delved into this band, do yourself a favor. And this is as good a place as any to start. Of course, I'm only going to be, so objective. I named my show after one of their albums. So there you go. Thanks for watching this edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions.